My speech at the conference is about how I want people involved in app technologies to think about using their skills, their abilities and new technology to help bring about a transformation in education. Governments all over the world are looking very hard at education and how education needs to be transformed to create better opportunities for young people. Unfortunately, governments in many traditional Western economies like Spain, the UK, the US, are looking constantly at education in a traditional way. They still look at creating a system to get more students to pass traditional exams and get them to go through traditional routes of education, through universities and so on, to prepare them for traditional jobs and traditional professional pathways. Unfortunately, the world has changed dramatically, and traditional routes and traditional jobs and traditional pathways are no longer the core of a modern economy. And governments, I believe, need to stop looking at trying to recreate the past and start exploring how to develop a more exciting future. And they need to particularly look at the advances in new media and digital technologies and ask very powerful questions about how those new technologies and that new thinking and also new business organizations that have been created as a result of those new technologies can help provide a model for a future paradigm for education.
My speech is about Evernote in education. We are very excited about how Evernote is being used in schools by students and teachers today, and we really want to spread the word about how that's been successful for students and teachers all over the world. The ways that we see students and teachers being successful using apps like Evernote are for students. They can take notes on any device that they have available to them wherever they are, so they can focus on the learning process rather than on the note taking and capturing every single word that the teacher says. So for example, you can record an audio of a lecture, or you can snap a picture of a whiteboard or a blackboard instead of spending time trying to copy everything down and getting it exactly right. And then for the students, it's a tremendous improvement in their study habits, because now they have not only their own material but also what the teacher has shared with them, and they have access to it again wherever they are, and they can search on their material as well as the teacher's material that's been shared with them. For teachers, they've been very successful in sharing information to students and to parents about the class, what they're doing in the classroom, how things are going, what sort of progress they're making, what they're focusing on, and then as well as sharing with each other. So teachers as professional colleagues wanting to share information, teaching techniques, or they come to something like the App Fest and they find out about great new applications, they want to share that. So rather than sending emails that then get lost, they can create a notebook and share that with the teachers as to what great things they found and things that they've learned about how to use technology to improve education.
Yeah, so my speech was about an approach to algebra learning and mathematical learning that I've been developing over the past couple of years, and that is an app called Algebra Touch. And the basic idea there is to take mathematical concepts and turn them into things that you can actually interact with, that you can actually touch with your hands and play with. So I think the most challenging issue to solve in learning in classrooms is motivation, is interest. It's very hard for students to get interested. Even students who want to be interested, even good students, find a lot of the content that we're trying to teach boring, because it is boring. And that's difficult. It's important, but it's not very interesting. And I think there are two approaches that work very well to addressing that issue. One is to connect the things that are being learned immediately to outcomes, immediately to applications, which is valuable. The other approach is to make the material itself, to make the intrinsic value of the material more apparent on the surface. And that's the thing that I'm sort of pushing or doing, is looking at trying to make the material itself engage with ways that humans like to learn. And what we do in the educational system, we tend to teach people in ways that are horrible for people to learn, that we don't like, we don't enjoy, and we don't succeed at.
And I've just given a talk at the App Fest about how books can move from the printed page onto the iPad and become interactive. I love books. I don't think electronic books are going to replace traditional books, but I think iPad books can do something that goes beyond the printed page, and that's what we try and do at Touch Press. We're most famous for the Elements, which is an exploration of the periodic table. But we've actually produced 10 apps in the last 2 years, and 7 of those have been App of the Week on the iTunes Store, which is wonderful. And all of those apps try to really give the reader an experience that lets them understand the subject that's unique to the interactive tablet. Well, we at Touch Press are approached all the time by traditional publishers wanting to do something together that's a little bit like the Elements or the Solar System or the Wasteland. And I think the biggest challenge that they face is all the different skills you need to make a beautiful app. Of course, you need all the editorial skills that a publisher has for commissioning an author and editing text and having beautiful illustrations. But you also need to be able to handle video and audio and animation and computer graphics. And really importantly, you need to understand interactivity. You need to be able to have a design sense for interaction. And those skills are very difficult to find, they're quite rare, and very few publishers yet have them. So at Touch Press, what we do is partner with publishers, and we bring a certain set of skills, they bring a certain set of skills, we bring our software, they bring what we call the IP, the content, and together we form a team and can make beautiful applications.